Hello everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm broadcasting to you live from the beautiful capital of Hungary, Budapest, situated in the Carpathian Basin, an absolutely amazing part of the world. All right, so we're going to get right into it today. It is a task 2 example with some strategy. And of course, as usual, our materials are coming from our websites at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. So to get our 6 full practice exams, all of our audio materials, a fully interactive course for your phone, tablet, PC, as well as over 100 hours of high-definition pre-recorded and live class video lessons, make sure to join us at the appropriate website, sign up for the full course, and start your journey to improve your skills in English and get that high band score on IELTS. Hi, Naveen. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you. Hi, Manisha. I'm doing great. Hi, Jeffrey. Manisha, I did get those emails. I'll get back to you on those. Hi, Jeffrey. Hope you're having a wonderful day or a wonderful evening in Taiwan. I have a good friend living there right now as well, and he's enjoying it. All right. So again, today, for all the viewers tuning in right now, it is a members chat-only class. There are some perks for being a member. You do get access to our 6 exams. You also get access to our private video lists on YouTube with our previous live class recordings. And you can request these special classes. If you're a member, hi, Mohammed. I'm doing great, thank you. And you haven't done it yet, please make sure to sign up as a follower for Academic English Help on your Google Plus so we can give you access to those private videos. All right, members, you probably know this already. You can contact me if you have questions about our products, services, or IELTS. Adrian at aehelp.com. Tomorrow, I'm going to be shooting some high-definition videos, specifically a video for diagrams, task 1, and a couple others. So you'll see those going up on the YouTube channels over the course of the next couple weeks. No class on Monday and Tuesday as well. And then on the 17th, we're back with Task 1 strategy. Naveen, I know you made a request for this class. You asked to do a Task 1 where, if I understood correctly, you want me to do an example where it's a diagram combined with a line graph or a table. Is that correct, Naveen? So you want me to do an example that's a diagram with a table or a line graph? Hi, Rahul. I hope you're doing great. Yes, Manisha, and I believe I've added you. Okay, Naveen, I haven't honestly seen that type of question yet, but I'm not surprised if it's out there. I have a couple in mind that I think will work very well for that. So, Naveen, can you send me an example of what you're thinking of? If you've seen it in a book or somewhere, just scan it and send it to me. I want to make sure it's actually in the official IELTS, okay? I don't want to teach something that's off topic. So just send me an example, Naveen. But I can do that, okay? So I can do it. All right. So let's get right into our task 2 today. This was sent to me, if I'm not mistaken, by one of our members, and they were very curious about what to do for this kind of a question. It's a little bit different from one of the other task 2s that we did before. So here's the question. Our planet's population is reaching unsustainable levels, and people are facing shortages of resources like water, food, and fuel. To what consequences may overpopulation lead? What measures can be taken to fight overpopulation? Let's do a couple quick corrections here in this. So it's a very provocative question, and I think it's a question that a lot of people actually have considered, especially if you've been around highly populated areas. Thank you, Naveen, for that. Sounds good, okay? So here, the question is asking you, it's a two-part question for task 2. It says, what may be the consequences of overpopulation and what measures can be taken to fight overpopulation? So what are the solutions? Okay. Now, members, I'd like to really work through this entire task 2, so introduction, body 1, body 2, and the conclusion today with you. So we're going to go through the planning stage a little bit faster today so we can get to the actual writing stage, but I will not rush through it because I want you to think, okay? I have done the step of paraphrasing. Okay, so I've gone ahead and paraphrased the question. For all the people watching, one of the very first steps you should take when practicing at home and in the IELTS when you're doing task 2 is paraphrase the entire question as much as possible, gain that vocabulary and a clear understanding. So here's the paraphrase. Paraphrase simply means to say the same information but using different words. Members, you can try to paraphrase this a different way at home after the class, but for now, just look at my paraphrase here, get some more clarity. So, the number of people on Earth is becoming too much to support with available resources like water, nutrition, and energy. What outcomes are likely to occur as a result of too many people living on Earth? What are some possible solutions to this? Okay, so quite an exciting type of question, interesting, and it's definitely one we need to think about. All right, so, and then of course it finishes off with give reasons for your answer, include relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience, write at least 250 words, spend no more than 40 minutes on this task, okay? So that's typical. All right, what is the topic, members? So what are we talking about here? What are we actually talking about? What's the topic? Keep it simple. Yeah, so Manisha says the ever-increasing population. Nice use of the dash, Manisha, with the ever-increasing there to create that as one expression. That's very correct. Rahul says we're talking about the effects of overpopulation. Yeah, we're talking about not marine life, Jeffrey. We're talking about overpopulation of humans here, okay? Growing population. I'm not sure if you meant marine life or something else, and it's just a typo. It's unlike you to write such a strange answer. All right, so the topic here, yeah, you're right, most of you. It's overpopulation or problems of overpopulation. And what's the controlling idea? Yeah, so it's growing population. We might take it a little bit further and say problems of overpopulation. And what is the actual controlling idea? So what is this question asking us about? What is the context? What direction or explanation or argument is this task 2 asking us for? So Naveen Kumar says it's increasing population leading to extinction of basic needs. Naveen, that's not the, okay, maybe you're saying the controlling idea there. I think it's a little bit off. Mohammed, I think you're off as well. So be really careful. That's what's different about this question. It's not asking us about causes. This is not a cause and effect, okay? It hasn't asked us about what the causes are. And you need to be careful because if you start writing about that, you're going to go off topic, Mohammed. The question is in the stream description for those of you who are joining now, or if you want to see it again or at some other time. So this is the question, right? What consequences may overpopulation lead to, right? So Rahul, you're much, much closer to the right controlling idea. It's the effects or the results, okay? And consequences also means it's probably something negative, all right? So here you really have to dial yourself into the question. It means to be precise because there's a lot of different information you could write about it, but you want to make sure that you're focusing on the right controlling ideas. The controlling ideas here is the consequences and solutions, okay? It's not asking us about the causes. Be careful here, okay? You might briefly mention the causes, but don't focus your essay on the causes, okay? So careful about that. Okay, so you might mention it, hint, hint, probably in the introduction, but you don't really want to lose your concentration on that. Okay, so let's go through the critical thinking here quite quickly. So topic, what, why, how. Okay. What is overpopulation? And again, quantitative language is very useful here. Okay? So what is overpopulation? What does it mean? Okay? Yeah, that's right, Mohammed. It's consequences of overpopulation and solutions to fight overpopulation. So what does it mean? You want to be quantitative here. So again, I'm going to be moving a little bit fast. And if you're thinking the same as me, great, or something similar. If not, think about, why am I thinking differently than Adrian about this? And is Adrian wrong, or maybe I'm wrong? And then you can ask me, okay? So I can say over 7 billion people and rapid growth each year. Okay, why? This would be the causes, right? So why? Medical improvements, more children born than people die. Okay, that's the reason. How? People stay alive longer due to food and medicine. People have large families. Okay, so that's how. All right, so that's the what, why, and how for the topic. Let's see what you have put up there. So Manisha says it's increasing number of inhabitants each year. Jeffrey says it's predicted that in 2030 there will be over 90 billion people. I don't know about that, but over 9 billion people, maybe. There's already, I think some people are saying it's over 8 billion now. Manisha says that there's a growing birth rate. Naveen said, hey, let's keep it simple. Let's talk about mortality rate is lower than birth rate. Okay, careful with your word form and choice, Naveen. Mortality rate is lower than birth rate. Okay. Yeah, and Jeffrey, that's a very nice way to put it too. Declining death rates, increasing birth rates, right? So, Rahul, the Indian population is over 121 million. Not billion. That would be a lot of people. Okay, so that's the what, why, how. Now let's go to the controlling idea. Okay, what should you focus on? So members, you know, I really want you to start fishing, and I don't want to just give you fish. It means I don't want to just give answers to you, because on the IELTS it will be a unique question, and you need to be able to solve it, same in university. So I want you to be able to master these questions on your own. So when you get to this part of the step, the controlling idea, what should you do? That's not what I would do, Rahul. I wouldn't start with just the consequences. I would approach this a little bit differently, so that it's a little bit easier to write for. So don't jump to the body paragraph yet, Rahul. Let's just kind of, we might do it that way, but let's just plan it out a little bit more carefully first, okay? So you get to the controlling idea. What should you think about? First, you should think about consequences, right? It's a good idea. So Rahul, you might be on the right track here. Okay. And then second, you should think about solutions. Okay. So what are the consequences of what? Yeah, exactly, Mohammed. You're on the right track there with that suggestion. So you're saying, well, definitely here I'd need to think about what would 9 of 10 people say. So if I asked around, what would people say? So Rahul says maybe increase in diseases. We already have diseases, right? So more disease, maybe. Okay. What other consequences can you think of? Jump in there, Jeffrey. Jump in there, Naveen. So resources will not be distributed evenly. Yeah. So we already have these kinds of events happening. So unbalanced distribution, sure, of resources. I don't think you've hit the nail on the head yet, any of you. There's some more clear answers here. So if there's not enough resources, if there are too many people, visualize here. Visualize too many wolves living in a forest. What happens? So Manisha says poverty, unemployment, perhaps. What's another way? If we think of poverty, disease, unemployment, what else can we say for that in a more simple way? And it's really important to get these precisely, because then your essay becomes much, much easier. Famine, Mohammed, is a very good one. Yep. Famine, poverty, disease. Yep, all of those. So what is that? Epidemics, sure. So can you say all of that in a more simple way? Because you're kind of explaining a bigger idea that should be one of your points. Mismanagement of finances, sure. So what happens if people don't have enough food, don't have enough education, don't have enough food, don't have enough health? So what's actually happening in a simple way? This should be your topic sentence. So you're jumping a little bit too far down the rabbit hole and you're missing something up at the top. Okay, now you're starting to target in the right idea. So Rahul says lack of basic needs or fighting each other is becoming good. So here I would say poor quality of life. Okay. So a bad quality of life will happen in a lot of parts of the world. It's already happening, but it will be even more dire or more difficult because of all of these. And eventually, when you push people enough and you corner people enough, and people don't have their basic needs like food and shelter and warmth and health, then what eventually happens, just like in the rest of the animal world? So eventually, this bad quality of life will lead to... Rahul, I'm not able to read. Yeah, I'm not able to read in any of the languages spoken in India, so it's not gonna work for me. That's right, Jeffrey. War and conflict. Punjabi. Yeah, I can't read Punjabi. So conflict, war, and eventually leading to death. Right? So if we want to keep it really simple, the consequences eventually of overpopulation as a result of disease, poverty, famine is eventually a low quality of life leading to conflict, leading to death. Okay, good. Sure. All right, now that we have identified that, okay, so again, remember, members, visualize and think outside the box, okay? That's an important point to keep in mind for this. An important idiom is think outside the box, okay? Thinking outside the box means that you are thinking critically and you're not just getting lost with details, but you're able to see the big picture and see points that are maybe not so obvious, okay? All right. Naveen, I'm not sure what you mean by any censor word, bro, but just speak openly, respectfully, but openly, okay? So here we go. We figured that out. Now, if you visualize here, you might think of something more simple than just humans. You might visualize something like a pack of wolves, right? A big pack of wolves living in a forest, if there's not enough food, they'll attack each other. And humans are no different. If we don't have enough resources, we will attack each other. In fact, we're worse than wolves because even when we have enough, we want more because we're thinking about the future and we start hoarding and we're attacking each other to save and have more for the future. Okay, what are the solutions for this? So what solutions do we have for overpopulation? What can be done? All right? And speak freely, again, respectfully. Obviously, it's a sensitive topic. But let's talk about this. So Naveen says awareness among people. Rahul says contraceptives. For those of you that might be a new word, it means birth control. Okay. Okay, so birth control, using contraceptives, education about that, absolutely. Jeffrey says have children, or have marriage, but don't have children, right? As we remember, China did something like this not so long ago with the one-child policy, right? So education for this, right? If we don't decide for ourselves, nature will decide for us. It might be less suffering if humans decide for themselves and decide to educate each other about the dangers of having large families. If we all have 10 children, the world will be in big trouble very, very quickly. And eventually, a lot of people will die, whether we want it or not, because nature will decide for us, right? That's what nature does. Nature is ruthless. So what else can we do? Okay, so we can implement these strict laws, just like, again, China's a great example because they've been in this situation with the single-child policy. Everybody frowned on it. Everybody criticized China about it. Now everybody respects them for it, or many people do. So, all right, Jeffrey, very, very smart. And I'm not surprised. It owns kudos to your name. Vegan Jedi Jeffrey says, stop consuming meat. And for a lot of you that might not know, a vegan is a person that does not consume animal products whatsoever, including meat, milk, cheese, eggs, and so on. So why do you say that, Jeffrey? So why do you say stop eating meat? I know some of you know Manisha, but there's several hundred people watching, so it's for those of you, okay? So Jeffrey says, rainforests are being cut down for animal grazing. Yeah, and something you may or may not know, Jeffrey, is that 1 acre of farmland can produce a lot more food for humans if we grow vegetables, fruits, and so on than if we use it for grazing. So 1 acre of grass might provide enough meat for 100 people, but the same place used for vegetables and fruits or corn or potatoes could provide food for 1,000 people. So there is a statistic that if simply people just ate less meat, so instead of eating meat every day, if people ate meat just once a week, which is actually healthy, then people wouldn't be starving in the world. So we're talking about a more specific solution here than just, or a larger solution here than just not eating meat. Okay. So we said, okay, don't eat meat. Sure. This is part of a bigger solution. What's the bigger solution? So avoiding to eat meat is part of a larger solution to this problem. What is the solution, or this bigger solution that not eating meat is a part of? Because remember, the original question says resources like food, nutrition, water, energy, right? Always remember that original question when you're thinking, okay? So it says we're facing shortages of resources like water, food, and fuel, okay? So a lot of people, and this goes back to what I just said, think outside the box. So allow your brain to think big when you're answering these questions to give a really good answer for easy writing and high band scores, right? Simple. Let me help you a little bit more. I want you to think about this. When you brush your teeth, do you turn off the water or do you keep the water running? If you're a man, or maybe a woman with her legs or something, if you're shaving, do you keep the water running or do you turn it off? Okay, there we go. As soon as I said that, a lot of you are starting to realize what I'm saying now, right? So Naveen says saving the resources, recycling, so on and so forth. So what are we actually talking about? Better management and use of resources, okay? So a lot of people are saying, hey guys, the problem isn't that there are too many people. The problem is that there are too many people who are wasting resources. If we were using our resources in a smarter way, we would still have a good quality of life. We would be able to support as many people as there are on Earth, even many more. And we wouldn't have to panic about what's going to happen in the future. So here, have a look at the consequences. Poor quality of life, conflict, war, death. All right? 1, 2, 3, body paragraph 1. Okay? And then solutions. 1 is birth control education. Okay, about the idea of overpopulation, and 2 is better management and use of resources. So here's 1 and 2 solutions. You can put all that into body 2. Okay? Now, if you're really fast at writing, you might want to do a body 2, body 3. Okay? You could separate these into 2 body paragraphs, and this way you end up with 3 body paragraphs and 5 altogether. Okay, so let's write the thesis statement. In this case, the thesis statement, you might want to do it in 2 sentences. 1 sentence is for the consequences, and the second sentence with the solutions. Okay? Now, if you've identified these, so if you're quickly thinking when you're planning and you've identified these in the 5 minutes, now you're able to really move along and write a good essay. Okay? So here's my thesis. The clear consequences of, just take the bold off here, of overpopulation are decreasing quality of life, increasing numbers of conflict, and death. Okay, so this is the beginning to my thesis statement. Notice that here I had to be very careful and write the second part like this here because I have decreasing quality of. Okay, so to have parallel grammar, I need to have increasing numbers of. Conflict and death. Death I can keep like this because this part modifies death as well. So decreasing quality of life, increasing numbers of conflict, increasing number of death, okay? I probably don't need the S on numbers there. I can do without. It's not a mistake. It just reads better without it, okay? So that is the first half of my thesis. I'm going to get the camera back online here, no worries. And then, of course, I need the second half of my thesis. So this is a 2-sentence thesis for this essay. And it has to be very, very accurate, okay? While you're writing yours, that's fine. I'll check it out. Again, I would like to write the whole essay with you today, members. So that's why I'm kind of throwing this thesis and I'm pushing you to move along here. Naveen, it's a good start, but you're just partial in that thesis. You're not including the idea of conflict and death, okay, which eventually will be what happens. So once we have that, then we can write the second part of the thesis, and we can say there are solutions to the dangers of too many people. One is education. The second is, I want to keep parallel grammars, so take out the, right? Second is resource management. Okay. One is, now here, notice that I can't leave it like this because the second part here, so it says second is resource management, one is education. It's not parallel grammar because I have 1, 2, 3 words here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So right away I know that this is not parallel grammar with the first point. Okay, so I need to make sure that it's parallel grammar. The easiest way is maybe put in some kind of an adjective there. Okay, so I might want to say something like one is global education. Might be a good word for me here. And second is resource management. Okay, so here's my thesis statement. Let's see what you've put up there. Jeffrey says, overpopulation leads to various global issues such as hunger and competition for water and land, which both cause loss of life. Jeffrey, that's a good approach as well. Okay, I like that as a first sentence. You're very much on the same topic. Rahul, lust is not a good word here. Desire will work, but lust is not, okay? Rahul says, great desire for resources. Lust is more sexual, it's more sensual. It doesn't work as well in this content. So you want to use the word desire, okay? A great desire for resources for an ever-growing population can lead to decreasing living standards, which lead to conflict and death. Good, Rahul. Very nice. There are certain steps to prevent this mishap through education and resource management. Because we have to say resource management, we need to say something like through global education, okay? Or through contraceptive education, okay? Something like that. But otherwise, Rahul, very nice. It's different from mine, but it's a very similar paraphrase, a very nice thesis, okay? Manisha says, the ever-increasing population results in poor quality of life and improper distribution of wealth. However, these effects can be remedied by education programs and resource management. Manisha, very nice as well. Beautiful, okay? I'm very proud of you members. Really, you've come a long way, and your thesis statements are... They make me happy, not only because I know that you're going to do really well on the IELTS. I'm expecting that you're going to at least get 7, 7.5, but quite possibly even higher, 8.5, maybe even 9, some of you. And that makes me really happy, but what makes me ecstatic is that as long as you keep evolving your thinking and your writing in this way, you're going to do really well in university and in your profession in later life. So good for you. Happy to see these thesis statements. Really am, truly. Okay, so that's our thesis statement. Now we can back it up a little bit and write the hook and a little bit of background. Okay, so the hook and the background. I'll write a hook, I'll write a background here. You can do the same. Let's move along. Let's get to these body paragraphs. Rahul, I think I'm going to take your advice. So we'll do body paragraph 1 about consequences, body paragraph 2 about the solutions. Yeah, Mohammed, there you go. That's better. The effect of overpopulation is poor quality of life, increasing number of conflict and death. Whereas the solutions for this is global education and resource management. Very good. Okay, very good. All right, hook. Overpopulation is a serious issue in modern times which cannot be ignored. Okay, very simple hook here. I think most people will agree with me that overpopulation is something we need to think about. It's an issue we can see in our daily lives around us often these days. We can see the garbage, we can see the smog in the cities where we live, we can see the missing forests, so it's very visible. And turning a blind eye to overpopulation is very foolish. If people think that overpopulation will fix itself, you're right. It probably will. But in a very nasty way if humans don't actively try to find solutions to this problem. Because nature's solution to overpopulation is basically epidemics, disease, death, and just wiping out huge populations, decreasing populations. So if we let nature decide, she will, but probably not preferable. So most people will agree that overpopulation is a serious issue in modern times which cannot be ignored, or it's foolish to ignore. Okay? Manisha says in the 21st century, growing population is a critical concern that must be dealt with. Absolutely, Manisha. Overpopulation is a global issue which needs to be addressed, says Rahul. Absolutely. Okay. No, Naveen, this is not a negative statement, although it definitely seems like it's a negative statement. It's simply just a fact. This is not a negative statement, and the examiners are kind of like robots in this way. They're not emotional. They're looking for good essays, and this is a good start. Mohammed says, raising population is a heated topic of debate for generations. I don't know, Mohammed. I don't know if we've been talking about this too seriously for generations. I think just in the last 2 generations, it's become a much, much more serious topic for society, especially from the 20th century. Okay? Yeah, that's true too, Jeffrey. That's pretty good. It shows kind of the root of this question. So since the 18th century, T-U-R-Y, some experts had, okay, it's a past perfect tense here, had predicted that overpopulation would affect society or would have serious effects on society. Okay, and then here we can get into the background. There are over 7 billion people on Earth, and this number is rapidly on the rise, with great demand on food, water, and energy. The Earth is not able to sustain this human growth much longer. Okay, and that's enough for the background. So you don't need to write more, because right away then you have your thesis statement, and that really nicely captures where you're going with this essay. So this is good, okay? This is your introduction. Overpopulation is a serious issue in modern times which cannot be ignored. There are over 7 billion people on Earth, and this number is rapidly on the rise. With great demand on food, water, and energy, the Earth is not able to sustain this human growth much longer. Notice how here I didn't use will not be able to. Okay, I always avoid that future participle will because I want my information to be important and have weight now, not in the future. Okay, so I'm generalizing this, all right? So, The clear consequences of overpopulation are decreasing quality of life, increasing number of conflict, and death. There are solutions to the dangers of too many people. One is global education, and second is resource management. If you write your introduction like this, or something similar, you are definitely on a path to a band 9 in your writing task 2. No questions asked, okay? So, let's kick it off with body 1. All right? So for body 1, I want to start with the topic sentence. Now, we're going to do what Rahul suggested. That does make sense in this case, where we write body 1 about the consequences and body 2 about the solutions. Why do we want to do that? So why did Rahul have the right idea here? Why do we want to separate it as consequences in body 1 and solutions rather than consequence, solution, consequence, solution? So why does it make more sense to do consequences and solutions, okay, as opposed to sometimes when you write this type of essay where you have causes and effects or consequences and solutions, you might have one cause and then one solution. You might have another cause and then another solution in body paragraph 2. But here, it's better to do consequences in body 1 and then solution in body 2. That's right, Rahul. It's coherence, right, Naveen? It's more clear. The reason why is because the consequence and the solution, it's not as directly related. It's clearly related, but it's not as directly. So if we say people being overweight, so imagine it's a different question. People being overweight is a result of lack of activity. One solution to this problem is regular exercise. That would be one body paragraph. And then you could say another problem of people being overweight is eating too much junk food. A solution to this is healthy diet. So that way it would be problem, solution, body 1. And then problem, solution, body 2. But here, it would be awkward to say something like decreasing quality of life is a consequence of overpopulation, so we need to educate people to have less children. It's not terrible, but the connection is a little bit more awkward, okay? So, or increasing population is leads to a lot of death, so we need to manage our resources better for body paragraph 2. Again, you could, but it's a little bit more awkward that way, okay, because it's hard to make the connection. So here, for coherence sake, we want to start with consequences in body 1. Give me a topic sentence, members. Okay. Manisha says, with the increasing number of inhabitants, it has become problematic to provide the basic amenities such as food, water, and shelter for everyone. Yeah, absolutely. So you can simplify that a little bit, Manisha. Don't overcomplicate. With increasing numbers of people, it has become difficult and at times impossible. Let's not say that. Let's keep it simple. It has become difficult to provide everyone with basic life needs, such as fresh water, food, and land. Okay, so something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Naveen says, the ever-growing human population is leading to poor quality of life because of the compromises in resources. Definitely. Yeah. So let's give a little bit more explanation to this. Okay, so there are millions of people, of children and adults, who not only go to bed hungry and thirsty, but eventually die of malnutrition. Okay, and then go into an example. All right? Give me an example. I'm sure you can think of some. So I won't type the example up there really fast. I'll just wait for you to give me that example. Okay? Manisha says, okay, I didn't write that for the body paragraph. Okay, Manisha, that's fine. So you wrote it for the introduction. I'm using it for the body paragraph because it works in both in this case. So since I wrote a different phrase in my introduction, I'm actually using yours to start off the topic sentence of consequences. It works that way. You could reverse it in your case and use mine or my variant for the beginning of your body paragraph 1, okay, or something similar, expanded, okay? So remember, the topic sentence for body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2 is an expansion of your points in your thesis, right? So it makes sense, okay? All right, so think about an example here. So what are examples of malnutrition, poverty, disease? I'm sure many of you will think of a continent in mind very quickly that suffers a lot from this, and examples of this. And you can just make up a false fact here as well. You might want to make it first person, like I, me, my. But in this case, you could just keep it third person because it's a generally known topic. Okay? So here you could go either way. You could choose to keep it first person or third person. If you want to do first person, make sure your thesis also shows first person. Yeah, Jeffrey, exactly. For example, a news report stated that every 6 seconds a child dies from hunger in an impoverished community. Absolutely. Prevalence of hunger of undernourished children has been witnessed by India along with obese children and other diseases. Sure, that's good as well, Rahul, so a little bit closer to home. For instance, a news story recently, last month, keep it even more measurable, reported that a child dies in the world every 6 seconds as a result of malnutrition, okay, of malnutrition in an impoverished community, okay? All right, am I done my body paragraph 1 at this point? So am I done with body paragraph 1? Mohammed says, for instance, in North Africa, 95% of children are dying because of scarcity of food and poor nutrition. Are either, Mohammed, I would probably say are either suffering or dying. So I would throw in this word suffering to be a little bit more accurate. Okay. Manisha says, for example, according to a survey conducted in Assam, India, around 500 new infants died due to poor living conditions and lack of health assistance in 2015. Very sad, Manisha, but unfortunately it's true, and it is a good example in this case, okay? Naveen, that could be a personal statement. I probably wouldn't include that into this body paragraph. I might include it into the next one where we talk about resource management, but careful not to let your emotions and personal opinions carry you off of the topic. Remember, at the end of the day, it is IELTS. You're not going to change the world by expressing yourself in IELTS. However, when you get a good score in IELTS, go to university or move to another country, get a good job, maybe do some humanitarian work. There you will make a difference. So remember, IELTS is just a means to an end. It's a tool to get to your goal. Careful not to get lost, okay? Mohammed says malnutrition is repeated in the explanation and example. Yeah, so if you catch something like that as you're writing along, you might say something like, as a result of poor diet. Okay? So paraphrase it in some way. Good eye, Mohammed. Good for you for catching that. Okay? Rahul says, no. Body paragraph is not complete yet. Let's not rush along here. Whoa. And you're right. Okay? It's not complete, Rahul. We need to complete it. What could we say here? So if we're looking for that band 9 for this task 2, what could we do? What more can we add to body paragraph 1 to make it better? So what could we do here? Well, obviously, if we're paying attention to our notes, we realize that our notes here say, well, first we talk about poor quality of life, and we've talked about that, and then eventually we want to talk about conflict, war, and death, right? So this lack of resources eventually, this lack of resources eventually leads to war. One well-known example of conflict is in the Gaza region of the world, as this is a crucial or critical watershed for two big populations. Of course, war, as a result of overpopulation, eventually leads to death. Okay? A very strong way to finish that body paragraph, okay? And then we go into body paragraph 2, Jeffrey, with fortunately, there are better solutions to this issue of overpopulation than war and death. Right, sure, okay? So we can use that as a connecting sentence, or we can start our next paragraph with that. So that can be our topic sentence, okay? Because war and death is a type of solution to overpopulation. Not an ideal solution, but it is a solution, of course. So overpopulation, or sorry, fortunately, there are solutions which can be far more ideal than conflict and death for too many people inhabiting Earth. Okay? Great. So now you've done that. Now you can go into your 2 points. Firstly, and here you can list it is important, or it is necessary, for the global community to bring awareness to the problems of overpopulating the earth and ways to stop this, namely birth control. Okay? So something like that. Rahul says, for each problem there is a solution. Similarly, this menace of overpopulation can be dealt with. Rahul, can be dealt with is the correct way to finish that sentence. And it's a very nice topic sentence, Rahul. So Rahul, you're doing a great job. Just other than a couple of small language use errors, you're really writing nicely and you're expressing your ideas very well. So good for you, Rahul. Good for you. Okay? For instance, in American and Canadian schools, the use of contraceptives is introduced in grade 7 for both health and future benefit. Okay? It is important for would-be parents to make certain that they and the planet are able to support their offspring. Okay, so I'm moving along here. Yeah, you're probably noticing we are running out of time a little bit, but like I said, I really want to finish this essay with you today, members, so I really want to get a complete essay done. So I'm pushing along, and I want to show you that it's really possible to write a solid essay, especially when you've done the right steps in planning, okay? So when you have the right ideas, when you have the right points, you know the structure of your essay, then you can move along really nice and smooth. If your sentences aren't exactly the same as mine, or they're not as grammatically accurate as mine, that's fine, as long as the information is good and you are using complex compound sentences and the structure is there. A few grammar mistakes, a few word use mistakes, punctuation mistakes, you're still going to get a really nice high score, okay? So, to support their offspring. Furthermore, the better use of resources can allow for a much larger population to prosper. For instance, world communities or communities around the world must band together to use environmentally friendly fuels. This means instead of burning oil, using solar energy. As well, banning the widespread consumption of coffee can increase the available fresh water supply for tens of millions of people. Here's an interesting question for you. This will be a thinker for the rest of your weekend, I'm sure. Do you know how many cups of water it takes on average to produce the average cup of coffee? So, any of you know, how many cups of water, of fresh water, do I need to take to eventually have someone drink 1 cup of an average strength of water? What do you think? Rahul says, I think it's 10, like 10 cups of water equals 1 cup of coffee for people around the world. Rahul, you're not even close. Any other guesses? What do you think? It's kind of a fun side note in this serious lesson. Naveen says, I have no idea. Jeffrey says, I think it's closer to like 500. And I think you're right, Jeffrey. I haven't checked the latest statistic on it. But yeah, it's something like 500 cups of fresh water for 1 cup of coffee. Coffee bean trees consume an incredibly high amount of water. And as you probably know, coffee trees grow in very dry areas. So what coffee farmers do is they pump an extremely high volume of water into very dry areas for these coffee trees to grow well. Of course, a lot of that water is lost to evaporation, and it's something like 500 or 1,000 cups of water to provide 1 cup of coffee. Extreme waste of our resources, and arguably coffee is not all that healthy for people anyway. So, interesting point there, but I don't think that's going to change. Too many people addicted to caffeine. All right, and I'm not one to be a hypocrite. The rare times I do like coffee myself, okay? But truth be told, if we're taking this issue seriously, that is definitely something to consider. So, here we have our second body paragraph. It's fine, it's complete, it's long enough. I don't need a concluding sentence because I have the conclusion coming up. This is for IELTS, okay? Rice also, I'm sure, consumes a lot of water, but I don't know how much. Rice is also very nutritious, though, so there is a nutritional value, as where coffee doesn't really have much of a nutritional value for humans. So, it's fine, okay? All right, that's why one of our members asked us about this one, because they were like, oh, I think it looks like an easy essay, but it's probably a little bit difficult to write a good response for that. It's not terribly difficult, Naveen, but you do definitely have to have the right idea, okay? Mohammed says, okay, I'm going to stop drinking coffee. I didn't realize that that's how much water it uses. All right, yeah, definitely. To be honest with you, Mohammed, I really, really drink very little coffee, maybe only a couple cups a year now, and in part because of this, absolutely. Okay, in conclusion, so let's conclude. So we have to restate what's going on here, okay? So in conclusion, start it off like that. In conclusion, the billions of people living on Earth is simply becoming too many to support with the current attitudes towards living. The obvious, and then here's the clear arguments here, the obvious results of this phenomenon, of this reality, are famine, disease, conflict, and death. Nevertheless, proper education and resource management or resource reallocation are effective solutions. Take-home message: if humans are not able to take the necessary steps to solve or to intervene in this spiraling problem, nature eventually will. Okay? All right, so I wrote the conclusion quite fast there. It might be, you could maybe do it a little bit better than me. But It will work, okay? So I wanted to finish up this essay. I wanted to show you the overall response. Let's go back now. Let's take 1-2 more minutes, make sure that we've done an okay job, that we're going to get that good band score. And members, if you want to try this essay again at home and then send it to me and say, hey, Adrian, I really like this, or, I thought this was a great challenge, so I redid this essay in my own words. I'm sending it to you to see if it also makes sense, if it doesn't have any critical mistakes that would drop my score. I encourage you to do that. So send it to me, and then I'll let you know what I think, okay? So again, remember, think outside the box. Think about what 9 from 10 people would say. So here we go, the full essay, okay? Overpopulation is a serious issue in modern times which cannot be ignored. There are over 7 billion people on Earth, and this number is rapidly on the rise. With great demand on food, water, and energy, the Earth is not able to sustain this human growth much longer. And this is why you review these essays when you can, to catch silly mistakes like that. The clear consequences of overpopulation are decreasing quality of life, increasing number of conflict, and death. There are solutions to the dangers of too many people. One is global education, and second is resource management. With increasing numbers of people, it has become difficult to provide everyone with basic life needs such as fresh water, food, and land. There are millions of children and adults who not only go to bed hungry and thirsty, but eventually die of malnutrition. For instance, a news story last month reported that a child dies in the world every 6 seconds as a result of poor diet in an impoverished community. This lack of resources eventually leads to war. You can say conflict. One well-known example of conflict is the Gaza region of the world, as this is a critical watershed for 2 big populations. Of course, war as a result of overpopulation eventually leads to death. Fortunately, there are solutions which can be far more ideal than conflict and death for too many people inhabiting Earth. And I might even take out death, just say conflict for too many people inhabiting Earth, just so I'm not being redundant. Firstly, it is necessary for the global community to bring awareness to the problems of overpopulating the Earth and ways to stop this, namely birth control. For instance, in American and Canadian schools, the use of contraceptives is introduced in grade 7 for both health and future benefit. It is important for would-be parents to make certain that they and the planet are able to support their offspring. Furthermore, the better use of resources can allow for a much larger population to prosper. For instance, communities around the world must band together to use environmentally friendly fuels. This means instead of burning oil, using solar energy. As well, banning the widespread consumption of coffee can increase the available freshwater supply for tens of millions of people. In conclusion, the billions of people living on Earth is simply becoming too many to support with the current attitudes towards life. The obvious result of this reality are famine, disease, conflict, and death. Nevertheless, proper education and resource reallocation are effective solutions. If humans are not able to take the necessary steps to intervene in this spiraling problem, nature eventually will. Okay? All right, and Jeffrey's thrown up a couple more pieces of facts for us. 1,000 gallons of water is used for 1 serving of beef, according to David Pimentel. Yeah, Jeffrey, there's no question there that humans overeat meat. We overeat in general. We overeat meat certainly, and it would be enough to eat 1 small piece of meat per week for our protein needs. Most of us, or many of us, including myself, I know I'm guilty of this, eat much, much more. So we do need to change that. Anyway, members, that is a consequences and solutions type example for a task 2 essay in IELTS. Remember, don't get too emotional. Don't get too lost in your opinions. This is a means to an end. It's not an end. So your goal here is to get a high band score. I know it's a heated topic, one that people can get passionate about. can be dangerous because it's easy to go off topic and get into emotional expressions which are confusing. Okay, so careful about that. I wish you a great rest of your weekend. I hope you have an awesome Monday and Tuesday. I will be back Wednesday. Okay. Yes, Manisha, I will reply to your emails. Hold your horses. Don't worry. I will get to them. I have seen them. I know you have your exam coming up soon, so I'll get there. Don't worry. Keep up the good studies. If you'd like to try this essay again and write the essay in your own words, I highly encourage it. Okay, try to keep the same structure. The structure should not be different. This is the easier approach. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Again, for the next 3 days, we will be releasing some nice videos for you over the next couple of weeks in HD on the YouTube channel. To see all the full videos, definitely go and visit our websites. aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS, okay? Learn smart, not just cheap, okay? Smart learning. You have to sometimes spend a little bit of money, but it's well worth it. Go to aehelp.com, join the full course, or gieltshelp.com. Get all those structured materials, the right strategies, improve your band scores, pass the IELTS, and be successful in life as well. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your participation and your support members. You're all awesome. Mohammed, Manisha, Naveen, Jeffrey, Rahul, fantastic job today. Hats off to all of you. Bye for now.